All right, Dalton, checking in at number 4 of our top 10 corners in the country is the best slot corner in America. That is Sebastian Castro. What makes him the best slot corner in the country?
First, it's you got guys. Iowa knows what they want, right? We've gone through these other lists, and we've had Xavier Nwankpa and Jay Higgins and guys like that. There is just a certain way that Iowa plays football, right? And Sebastian Castro embodies it. He's so good in zone coverage. He gets targeted a lot, especially in the screen game. I think he's better than any corner in the country at getting off blocks, and arguably the best returning corner when it comes to run defense. He's super physical. He's super willing to tackle. Look, he led all corners with a 91.7 zone coverage grade, right? Not just slot corners, everybody, outside too, right? One just straight up at his position, the best player, right? And people think, because it's like a different thing in the way they used to think about base versus nickel, and that slot corner was kind of a demotion. No, it's a base position now. Nickel's the new base. And at this position, there is nobody in college football better than Sebastian Castro. Just the full package, right? He plays the curl flat. He plays the run as well as anybody. It's just, and I'll give you he's done this for 3 years, instead of just this year, a 90.3 career slot coverage grade. Okay. The only player since 2016 who's higher than that is Tyke Smith, who just went, I believe, in the second or third round of the NFL draft to Tampa Bay. His slot coverage grade is in the neighborhood of guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick, like Tyke Smith, like Mike Hilton. If you're looking for just, I want a slot corner, this is your guy. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was special last year. And honestly, Cooper DeJean gets so much of the love, and deservingly so. He was a second-round pick in the draft and should have been a first-round pick, honestly. Sebastian Castro was the best player probably for Iowa's secondary last year. First-team All-American for us at PFF. Was the highest graded corner in the country and the most valuable corner in the country, according to wins above average metric. Led the nation in coverage stops with 19 coverage stops, and led the Power 5 with 16 run defense stops as well. So we mentioned before, he's a great run defender, great coverage player as well, highly instinctual player, very, very physical player, and the best slot corner by a mile in college football that we have right now. What are the negatives, Dalton, with Sebastian Castro?
So I think, he's kind of just a mediocre athlete, right? A 53.6 gas score. And I question maybe his ability to play man-to-man at that position, especially if we're talking about NFL prospects, right? Like, I think if he got in a similar defense to Iowa's, when you're talking about, say, the New York Jets or the 49ers or the Houston Texans, right, with D'Amico Ryans and how they do it, in a very similar role, that kind of curl flat hybrid, almost like a third linebacker, like a smaller third linebacker kind of role, I think it'd be a great, great fit. He could be a player a lot like, say, a Michael Carter for the Jets. The difference is Carter has proven, it took him a little bit of time, that he can play in man-to-man coverage. If he can't do that, in this past draft, we saw there was some people with Cooper DeJean that were like, oh, well, just move him to safety because he's a safety. And, no, he's athletically a freak. He's not a safety. I could see an argument where somebody moves him back to play safety. That I could see. And he would fit right in, right? Especially he could play a deep half. There's reps of him this year playing safety. I think it was a little under 100 reps, but when he lined up at safety, he graded right around a 90. So I think it would be a more natural fit for Castro. I don't think it would be at all the wrong decision if a team felt like they had a plan. The big thing for me is I question his ability to play man-to-man. I was a very kind of almost basic zone heavy, cover 3, cover 4 heavy defense where he's got this defined curl flat, support the run role, which he is A+ at, no question. I think he would have to be in a similar defense to succeed in the NFL. If he went to a heavy man defense, the Cowboys play a lot of man coverage, or, like a Brian Flores type, like Minnesota, I don't think that would be the best fit for him. So I think the one thing is he's incredibly good at what he does, but he's a little bit in this box of that's what he does.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the athleticism is definitely not great. It's fine. It's above average, and it's right around average, I should say. And I agree. There is a very specific role that he fits, which makes his NFL evaluation a little bit murky right now. But obviously we're ranking for college. He's a top 5 corner in the country for what he does for Iowa. It's interesting you brought the safety thing, Dalton, because actually a lot of people list him as a safety whenever you look at the rankings for NFL draft and stuff like that. So I do think that could be a long-term thing for him. And a lot of safeties do just play. There are a lot of guys who are safeties in the NFL that are just nickel corners, right? So I think that he could kind of fit that role. Other things you mentioned the man coverage grade. He was 49th percentile in single coverage grade last year. So a lot better in the zone coverage, 97th percentile in zone coverage last year. 49th percentile in man, so that matches up what you saw on tape, Dalton. And then also he was 33rd percentile in terms of forced incompletion rate too. So not really making too many plays on the football either for Iowa's defense, but is still pretty easily the best slot corner in the country, and a name that you need to know heading into the 2024 college football season is Sebastian Castro from Iowa.